We know that wool is really good with moisture. What we don't know is how good it is with salt water.
Hi, I'm Danny, and this is Torin, and we're converting a lifeboat into a liveaboard.
So one of the things that we're really looking forward to doing with Luja is using natural materials wherever we can. And one of the first things we'll be putting in is this all natural insulation. It's Havelock Wool, which is just as it sounds, woolen bats. It's pretty common in Europe and the US, but not so much in Canada yet, and I'm not sure why, because so far it seems great. It has a really good insulation value. It's not too flammable. It's all natural. It's so cozy. You just want to kind of make a blanket out of it. It's also not itchy, which we've been working so much with fiberglass, and the idea of putting in more of that horrible pink insulation just seems like a terrible idea. It's so itchy. This is nothing like that, and even I'm pretty allergic to wool, so I was a bit worried, but I've had no issues with this so far. We know from the people at Havelock that this is great for van life, van builds. Lots and lots of people use it for that. It's so easy to smush into all those little tiny nooks and crannies that both boats and vans have. But what we don't exactly know is how it's going to do with salt water, which, as anybody who has a boat knows that that's just a whole different beast and has an amazing ability to break things down. Of course, this will be in our walls, so it shouldn't really matter, but we don't know for sure. So what we're planning to do today is to take it out into the beach. And of course, I picked a day with extremely low tide, so I have to go find some water. But I'm gonna soak this wool in that and then dry it out and see what happens. Right now, it's nice and puffy, it's clean, it's dry, it doesn't have any sort of like sticky, salty, grainy feel to it at all. So the hope is that once it gets that wet and dries back out again, it'll go back to the state that it started in. We know that wool is really good at being insulative, even if it's got 65% of its weight in water. So any damp from condensation, things like that, shouldn't be a problem. And it's meant to help because it actually breathes. So if you think about a cowichan sweater or your favorite wool sweater and how great that is in the cold and wet, I mean, we're West Coasters, we know what to do with a wool sweater. We're hoping that putting a whole wool sweater in Luja is going to give us that same kind of warm insulation that our parents and grandparents had. And yeah, so if it survives its water challenge, then I think we're ready to go ahead and put it into the boat when we insulate in a couple of months.
So the beach is just my luck at very low tide, and I will need to go find some water to dump this wool into.
In the end, the tide was a little bit too complicated to deal with, so I just got a bucket of water, filled it up with ocean, and brought it back to the boatyard. So I'm going to dump my wool in. I'm going to dump the wool in now, and it's kind of interesting. It doesn't really want to submerge. I really have to push it in to even get it to take the water, so it feels like it's quite naturally repellent anyway. But I managed to get it pretty soaked now. It really gains a lot of weight doing that. And I'm just gonna pull it out, twist it off, and squeeze a little bit, and then I'm just gonna lay it in the sun and see what happens. Alright, so it took a day or two in the sun, but the Havelock wool has completely dried out again and fluffed up nicely. Kind of see it, and it's clean. It doesn't feel at all salty or sticky, that kind of weird feeling you can get from salt water. It doesn't have that at all. And it also smells amazing. It doesn't have any odor either from the sea or the sheep, so that's really nice. Yeah, it's puffed right back up, and I think we're really happy with that experiment. So we're gonna definitely be putting it into Luja moving forward, and we're glad to have a really exciting, hopefully super cozy insulation going in.